escrito después de Auschwitz, no hay nada, solamente la poesía. Siglo XX ilimitado. Mientras el siglo XX se va apagando, el XIX comienza otra vez. Como si nada hubiera sucedido, aunque aquellos que lo vivieron pensaron que todo estaba sucediendo, lo suficiente para nombrar un mundo y un tiempo, para tenerlo en tu mano ilimitado, el último engaño como la perfecta máscara de la muerte. Buenas noches, buenas tardes a todos. I'm very happy to be here. Me gusta mucho placer estar aquí en México. Y voy a empezar la lectura con una canción traducida de la lengua séneca de los indios Iroquois de los Estados Unidos. Es una canción ritual, the beginning of a ceremony called Shaking the Pumpkin, agitando la calabaza, de la sociedad de los animales místicos. Y por comenzar, el líder canta, ahora traducida en español. Los animales llegan, los animales llegan, los animales llegan, Tres poemas de mi primer libro de este siglo, un libro del testigo, libro de testimonio, a book of witness. I can't say who I am, but go for it and speak as if I knew it. Time is half the story, so is death. I run from shadows to avoid old people maddened by God. I follow animals whose eyes at night mirror my face. Seeing myself asleep, I touch my arm, I celebrate new forms of sex. I'm frantic, knowing that nobody has a way out or a face more marked than mine. I was not born alive. The case for memory grows weaker day by day. The more I know myself, the less I am. I hold on to a name because it suits me, but the voice behind it never was my own. Poema escrito el primer día de este siglo. I come into the new world. Voices are dumb until I speak for them. Knowing the sound, I find myself between two fires. One is dark green, one the color of my mind asleep. I come into the new world where the thought of death no longer rankles. It will be good to be a stranger always, to know the terms by which we visit back and forth and sideways. In the morning I will wear a suit with shoulders big as boards. My clothes are silver plastic. When I step into the car, it starts to fly. I play games with children where I make a nose into an ear. Like a clock, my heart moves closer to the burning babe and stays there. I will now count the century by ones and twos. This morning, all the voices in my dream spoke with one voice. I feel privileged to be here among you. From now on, we will live on borrowed time. A real man. Mangled fingers push the stones aside. The scars run deep. Hate suits the human face far better than a mask. The price of happiness is wisdom. Stones that interfere with speech will interfere with sleep no longer. Soon he wipes away the stain. The motor seems outrageous. Back and forth he walks. I watch the fathers growing, throwing caution to the winds. My body hovers in an air a man can hold forever in his sights. I do not trust his way of dealing. He and I are brothers. For this moment only, watch his fingers closing. He is a real man when he murders, is he not? Dos poemas de una serie, esa tonada dada, dedicado a los padres y madres del movimiento Dada en el año 1916. Con un poema de Hugo Ball, poema sin palabras, que yo voy a cantar y dirigir a Hugo Ball y a los otros poetas un poema, Éxtasis de Dada en vitrio. That Dada strain, the zigzag mutters of the gods of science, the lunatic fixed stars and pharmacies, fathers who left the tents of anarchism unguarded, the Arctic bones strung out on Saint-Germain like tom-toms, living light bulbs, aphrodisia. Art is junk, the urinal says. Dig a hole and swim in it. A message from the grim computer. Ye are hamburgers. June 23rd, 1916. For that evening's reading, he had made himself a special costume. His legs were in a shiny blue cylinder, which reached up to his hips so that he looked like an obelisk. Over it, he wore a huge coat collar cut out of cardboard, scarlet on the inside, gold on the outside. It was fastened at the neck in such a way that he could give the impression of wing-like movement by raising and lowering his elbows. He also wore a high blue and white striped witch doctor's hat. Caravana, Elefanto, Bambla, oh, Fali Bambla, Sika Mpa Abla Orem, Eshige, Koramen, Higo, Loiko, Rusla Huyu, Olaka, Olala, On Logo Boom, Logo Boom, Boso, Fataka, Shamba, Fula, Fusa, Holobo, Etatagorem, Eshige, Tsumbada, Ulu, Subudu, Ulu, Subudu, Kusa, Gaoma, Bao. A glass tube ecstasy for Hugo Ball. A glass tube for my leg, says Hugo Ball. My hat, a cylinder in blue and white. The night, the German ostriches, the sink he pisses in. His Dada song begun there holds the image until it comes at us. The image from its cross looks down. A ribbon, a revolver, mud. These contribute to his death, also to what his death contributes. Later, too hysterical, too sick with God and time. A carousel, a roasted poet, fish, the queen says to his mind, and enters where the street of mirrors starts. She sees his face reflected in hunger of the world as pain, the consciousness of death. Not why we die, but why we dream about it, and on why our dreams can't save the dying remnant. Hugo, as I write this poem, the voice cries from a further room. The dancer, singer, calls me from a further room. I step into an obelisk below the waist. My mouth opens to sing, but freezes shut for grief for you. Umbula, take, bitly, sonkola. Collapse of language, tabla, tuta, tuta, takabala, taka, tak, a glass tube ecstasy escapes from time, babula, umbalam, the image and word over your bed hang crucified. Again, the cabaret explodes, again, fatigue, 1 foot in glass, a glass nerve, and a priestly gas pump pulls her hair out. The next poem, Proxima Poema, a long poem, muy largo, recientemente traducido por Javier Taboada. En español y en ladino. I lived for some years with Seneca Indians. I became very involved with the translation of American Indian poetry. Yet at the same time, I was exploring ancestral sources of my own in a world of Jewish mystics, thieves, and madmen. So the poem Cockboy is an attempt to bring all of that together with the tragedy, la tragedia de los Estados Unidos at the same time. Cockboy, primera parte. Saddle sore I came, a Jew among the Indians. What am I doing in this strange place with these people with strange eyes? Could be, its trouble, could be. He says a shadow ariseth from his buckwheat, as tomahawk in hand, shadow of an axe inside his right eye, of a fountain pen inside his left. What am I doing here? How was I lost to get here? Am 100 men, 150 different shadows, Jews and Gentiles, who bring the law to wilderness? He says, this man is me, my grandfather, and other men of letters, men with letters carrying the mail, Lithuanian Pony Express riders, the financially crazed Buffalo Bill, still riding in the lead, hours before avenging the death of Custer, making the first 3D movie of those wars, or years before it. The numbers vanishing in cabalistic time that brings all men together, and the lonely rider, saddle sore, is me, my grandfather, and other men of letters, Jews and Gentiles, entering the domain of Indian, who bring the law to wilderness, in gold mines and shaky stores, the fur trade, heavy agriculture, ballots, bullets, barbers, who threaten my beard, your hair, but patronize me, and will make our kind the senator from Arizona, the champion of their law, who hates us both but dresses as a Jew one day and Indian the next, a little Christian schmuck. What am I doing here? This place is maybe crazy, as all the letters going backwards, he says. So who can read the signboards to the desert? Who can shake his way out of the woods for its streams the grandmothers were living near, with snakes inside their cunts, teeth maybe change saws? When the Baal Shem visited America, he wore a shtreimel. The locals all thought he was a cowboy, maybe from Mexico. A cockboy? No, a cowboy. I will be more than a credit to my community and race, but will search for my brother Esau among these red men. Their nocturnal fires I will share. Piss strained from my holy cock will bear seed of Illinois and feed them visions. I will fill full a clamshell, will pass it around from mouth to mouth. We will watch the sun rise through each other's eyes, the distances vanishing in cabalistic time. He says the old man watches from the cliffs, a city overcome with light. The man and the city disappear. He looks and sees another city. This one is made of glass. Inside the buildings stand immobile statues, brown-skinned faces catch the light. An elevator moving up and down in the vision of the Kunanele, the Kuna shaman, the vision of my grandfather, vision of the Baal Shem in America, the slaves in steerage. What have they seen in common? By what light their eyes have opened into stars? I wouldn't know what I was doing here. This place has all the letters going backwards, reverse in time toward wilderness. The old Jew strains at his gabardine. It parts for him. His spirit rushes up the mountainside and meets an eagle. No, an eagle. Captains, commanders, darlings, delicious madmen, murderers opening the continent up to exploitation. Cease and desist, he says. Let's speak, he says. Feels like a little gas down here, he says. Can't face the mirror without crying. And the eagle lifts him like an elevator to a safe place above the sunrise. There gives a song to him, the Baal Shem song, repeated without words for centuries. Hey, hey-ah, but translates it as yabba ba 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 bum. When the Baal Shem, Yabba, learns to do a bundle, what's the Baal Shem? Baba, put into the bundle. Silk of his prayer shawl bag beneath, a cover of beaver skin above, savor of Esron fruit within, horn of a mountain goat between, feather of dove around the sides, clove of a Polish garlic at its heart he wears when traveling in journeys through cabalistic forests, cavalry of the tsars on every side, men with fat mustaches, yellow eyes, and sabers, who stalk the gentle soul at night through the Wyoming steppes. He says, what am I doing here? I could not find mine hat. Would search the countryside on hands and knees until behind a rock in Cody, old Indian steps forth. The prophecies of both join at this point. Like smoke, a pipe is held between them, dribbles through their lips the keen tobacco. Cowboy, cockboy, says the Baal Shem, places a walnut in his handkerchief and cracks it on a boulder. Each one eats. The Indian draws forth a deck of cards and shuffles. Game, they play at bulls and lambs. Fire crackles in the Privachuck. In a large tent somewhere in America, the story of the coming forth begins. Baal Shem era el fundador de la forma de la religión judaica, hasidismos, en el siglo XVIII. Y castor, beaver, es mi animal totem cuando fui adoptado en el tribu Seneca. Segunda parte. Comes a brown wind curling from tense tissues, sphincter opened over the whole continental divide and shot the people up, plop, plop. A little girl emerges, she with the beaver tits, nose, furry eyes of the red man's Sabbath, gropes down the corridor, says, "Hello, doctor, got a hand to spare?" Doctor says, "Okay." "Yes, doctor." Hand up her bush, he pulls a baby howling in lamplight. A little Moses, says now the cacique's daughter laugheth. "Oh, doctor, not so hard. So hard America is born. So hard the Baal Shem dreams about it." 200 years later in Vitebsk, he was in correspondence with William Blake, appeared on Peckham Rye, yes, fully clothed, and was his angel. "Angel," says his mother, smiling, proud. She sees his little foot break through her crotch and itching races up her ribs. America is born. The Baal Shem is a beaver. Happened while the Indian talked, chanted behind Cody. The mad Jew slipped to life past pink styrofoam, snow of her body's channels, the freaky passageways, unlit, ungloved, like gums of an old woman. Teeth were ripped from ages gone. Into another kind of world he hurtles, does reawaken in the female swamp, a beaver amongst the rushes. "Mama," calls the Baal Shem. "Mama, what am I doing here? I have become my beard," he says. The blind world shines on him. Water runs through his mouth, down belly. It is dark, a darkness. Fur is dark and hides the skin and blood. A universal fur, but leaves one hole to open from the body's darkness, pushing into light. Erupts like great cock of the primal beings, red and smooth like copper of the sun's red eye at night. Old beaver lugs it in his hand. "I am myself, my grandfather," he sings. "My name is Cockboy." Cockboy, understand? "I leave my grandmother in the female swamp. Will be the great deliverer someday. Yum-bum. Might find a jar of honey, might stick my brick in, my brick might tingle, might tickle me. The bees find out about it and sting the knob. It grows a second, a dozen or so knobs along its length, or maybe 30 knobs. So what's the use, I ask myself. We'll try. Again, I drag it red and sore behind me. So vulnerable I have become in this hot climate, shitting and farting, shooting marbles opening my mouth and coming in. The blackbird shit so not so fast, love, into my hat. My eyes turn white, wood lilies are growing from them. A Slavic birth I can't deny. So tender in my eyes, tender the native turds come floating. And across America in an outrage, uselessly I shout against the sun, "You are no longer my father. Moon, you are no longer my mother. I have left you, have gone out jaunty with cock slung over shoulder. This is the journey your young men will take," says Beaver. Makes it to the hut where that old woman lives, apron over her belly, carpet of maybe fried bread, back, Little mother, don't mind if I drop a stone onto your brains. Your daughters be back later. Little hot girls I ride on pretending I was you. I suck their ears and scream, oh, put me lower down, love, my cock inside. And have to cool it. I cool it. In waters where a princess, daughter of a chief, went bathing. Lethal and innocent the cock has found its mark. The trains reach Topeka. Custer is dead and enters the bridegroom's quarters. Darkness, her flesh prepared for it by new moon in her abdomen. A sliver grows, a silver dollar over Barstow, lighting the marriage of America. In Kabbalistic time, says Cockboy, you are the daughter of the mountain. Now will I take thee to my father's tribe to do the snake dance. Oh, Jewish feet of El go crazy in his mind. Oh, El, oh, him I carry in my knapsack. Dirty pictures, land grants, but further back, her people gun for him. How should they feel seeing their daughter in arms of a cockboy? C-O-C-K. Understand? Thou art become my father's bride, are wedded to ugly Christian God forever. Bye-bye. I gotta run now. Engagements await us in Salt Lake City. Industry riseth everywhere. Arrows strike concrete. Never shall bruise my sweetie's flesh, says Cockboy. On horse, upriver, he makes his way past mining camps. Polacks were panning gold in and other pure products of America. Oh, prospectors, oh, Anglo-Saxons, baby-faced dumplings who pacified the West with Gatling guns, with bounties for hides of babes, mothers' vulvas, made baseballs to their lusts. Oh, bringers of civilization, heroes, heroes, I will fight my way past you, who guard the sacred border, last frontier village of my dreams, with shootouts, tyrannies, he cries, who had escaped the war or brought it with him. How was I lost to get here? Was luckless on a mountain and kept from true entry to the West, true paradise, like Moses in the Rockies who stares at California, spooky in the Jewish light of horns atop my head, great orange freeways of the mind. America disaster, America disaster, America disaster, America disaster. Where you can watch the sun go down in desert. Cockboy asleep, they ask. Awake, cries Cockboy. Only his beard has left him, like his own, his grandfather's. Ghost of Ishi was waiting on the crest, looked like a Jew, but silent, was silent in America. Guess I got nothing left to say. Estas próximas poemas vienen de un libro 50 caprichos a partir de Goya. Y hay una traducción, un libro con traducciones de Heriberto Yepes, publicado por Bellas Artes aquí en México. The Sleep of Reason. Words imprinted on a sign by Goya, glowing white against a surface nearly white. The sleep of reason introduces monsters. He is sitting on a chair, his head slumped, resting on his arms around the marble table, pencil set aside, his nightcoat open, thighs exposed. All things that fly at night fly past him, wings that brush an ear and ear conceal the memory beginning in the house of sleep. His is a world where owls live in palm trees, where a shadow in the sky is like a magpie. White and black are colors only in the mind. The cat you didn't murder springs to life a whistle whirling in a cup, gone and foregone, a chasm bright with eyes. There is a cave in Spain, a fecal underworld, where bats are swarming among bulls, the blackness ending in a wall, his hands rub up against a blind man in a painted world, a mock and monstrous banging on a rock. The company of men, those who are real men, stroke their knives and wait under the rocks, their guns at ready. Mindless their eyes are like the eyes of reptiles, tight, the flesh over the bone, the blood like snow dyed pink. It is the company of men that shapes the world, some who are friends and others in it for the sport. They chew and pick their teeth. The end of strife unmans them. Life is death, and death is what is lost, retrieved, and lost again. Men who are real men rub their skin with death, a paste of fat and ash. They marvel at the splintered tree behind them, the papers strewn about, wine spilled, the sky a blister. They will go to war, and you, because your time is drawing nigh, will wait in wonder, trembling to be born. Tight stockings make a man's balls swell, they say. They play love like a game, place a slippered foot on a bidet and rock around the clock. Old women count the days, the hours left behind, the thrusts made by the perfect pelvis. Somebody with a name like yours steps from his clothes, a dream of women in tight stockings filling half his brain, the other half long gone. A chair goes up in flames, the man remains inside a burning house, the sand dissolving in the pit. He dreams about his own leg stuffed into its silk, the fit of which is like a miracle and heats him. Few of them remember what began it, thinking they were always there. Now that his pants are halfway down, he looks at them with wonder, thinks that they're halfway up. All who will fall, a swarm of little birds with heads of men and women. This is his dream and yours. The mothers in the world below hold back a laugh, a fart that dances in the air between them. One is old and holds a boon between her fingers, watches how a daughter prongs the screaming bird man, props him on another's lap to spittle from his mouth against her dress. All who will fall like these have one commitment. It is not to you, but to the air they ride on. Some are angels, some are myopic men. The one atop the tree, a woman known for envy, hidden thoughts, a mountain at her source, adrift or flying backwards. Theirs the fate of sailors. Bind them, pluck them. Those who have enough of dreams wake every morning, ready to be the slaves of those who dream for pleasure, naked and wounded, eager like them to kill. That which we see in Goya. A woman made to wear a fool's cap and to ride a mule, the road clogged up with watchers, men on horseback, shadows on a glass, an eye gone dead, a change of fortune, time is running backward. That which we see in Goya comes alive. It is the punishment men dream who live in fear of women, bang their bells in anger. Deep inside the mind there is a drawing still to do. Here are the men whose backs are turned against us, others with sticks, with curled hair, shoulder length unkempt, and eyes that travel sideways, ready for the kill. Nobody can call them back. A stadium erupts in flames. A stand of feathers draws a clamp around her neck. The past and future intersect. God's word is spoken, strands you in a foreign clime, a fell arrest. And the second long poem, also translated, traducido también por Javier Taboada, a poem of miracles, Poema de Milagros, escrito por los cumpleaños de un amigo, poeta Jack Colon. I began it as a celebration of his 80th birthday. And when I was some way into the poem, I realized that it was my cumpleaños, my birthday also. So this was another kind of poem of message for Jack Collum and also for my wife, Diane. And I will follow this with another chanted poem. A poem of miracles. A miracle more ordinary than the grass under our feet, the hot sun as it dazzles eyes and skin. So many memories blending into one, we have no place to go but where we are, no nearer to the end than to the source. A miracle open on all sides, toward which the mind moves slowly and the eye, as in a dream, opens and shuts. Clouds without rain cover the sun. The animal that sleeps over our skylight knows neither rest nor waking, only a dream. Turn of the hand by which a perfect bird comes into view, a flight over the heads of some, no mystery in what we are. We walk away from it no sooner gone when something ever bright, a flash of wing, assails us, heretofore concealed. The real comes first, the fancy a far second, hard to tell apart, still harder in the dark, the eye too weak, the skin still weaker like the mind. The origin of species hides its birth, the contours of the real, the hand feels and the eye imagines, only later in singular pursuit. A miracle to make the seen, forerunner of the unseen, the animal you see, its metamorphosis deferred. Imagination lurks here, brings concealment into light. The world inside the mind turns upside down. A miracle to live a life in celebration, knowing fear and feeling death. He finds the poem more to his taste. They call it fancy, a game of chance or choice that pulls the mind back from the literal, opens a door to the imagined real. A miracle from which the other miracle proceeds, the owl living night long in the palm tree, a flight of pelicans, brown shadows, east of where the sun touches the ocean, a miracle of distant bodies, voices from the sky, sounds, absent words. A miracle, the sun crushed by its clouds, the mind retreats from bloodlines staining the horizon, raining down. The word is firmament. A cracked sky over the sun and moon, imagined trackers behind which light seeps forth, a field of stars. A miracle, our lives that pass a barrier. The evil wind is not so evil, but brings us words to string into a poem. Nowhere to go but up and out. The miracle even to know that knowing ends, having all tried and failed against the odds. The miracle of darkness hides the light itself, a miracle in which infinities escape us as we plunge on in hot pursuit. The ocean capped by scarlet clouds, a miracle or not. The sand below is pink or mauve or amber, open and shut. A miracle. The light a miracle, the night a miracle, the sea a miracle, the tree a miracle, the bird a miracle, the word a miracle, the rain a miracle, the brain a miracle, the time a miracle, the rhyme a miracle, the breath a miracle, the death a miracle. A miracle to have been here and to vanish. As the time ends, no more real than anything we know or run from. In my hand, all touch astounds me. Color of the dead is also touch. Their faces and their voices press against me, touch by touch. A miracle that words are green still after an age of dryness, that the rising sap fills leaves and shoots, the sun still bright in the engulfing dark, is an illusion barely known, a deeper darkness hiding all, the firmament unhinged, a miracle that from this transient place a universe is born. Sheer accident denotes a further miracle. The dish falls from my hand and finds the ground. An apple shows the marks of teeth, a rush of things more real than words or less. The time has come to add up what we know. It floats in air. I reach for it. The grass sweats, words turn green, a finger signals a new miracle. The sky leads into empty space. The mind is helpless to address or fill. Only in the little world can we both love and kill. The solipsist is king here, waiting for the end of time and knowing that it's endless. A miracle by which the dead animal and man lie fallen, never to rise again, but sanguine in their dissolution. The slow progression into flesh and out again continues while the world does. Only then no trace of mine remains truer than this. A miracle, the small worlds and the vast, the way the blood appears, sudden and hot, the sun at daybreak, lighting the wound. The firmament persists over the sun and moon, the deeper image that it hides, where light and dark change places, a time that makes a mystery of time and space. A miracle, to place a foot on solid ground and know the earth rotates 1,000 miles a day at the equator, barely an inch at either pole. The ordinary rise and fall of how we breathe and move, steps taken in the rush and crush of galaxies, dark more than light. If time is endless, what we feel as time deceives us with the miracle of what we feel, the ordinary push of days against the grain. A miracle, the lie of beauty dazzles us, deceitful elf, duende and capriccio, hiding pain and hunger, ready to explode. A miracle, the earth collapsing into ruin while the larger world survives. Or say the human ceases, gone astray, and leaves a trace behind, a breath or whisper ready to become a word. The picture in the mind is not a picture until you call it forth, a pixel at a time. A miracle where none exists to call your own mind into being, then to touch the hairs, the skin from which they spring, the ordinary smells that sex brings, and the heat rising from the depths, a history contained a touch of fingers, not the first or last. The final letter that names the end and vanishes, the miracle of sound absorbed, the body free to speak its world. A miracle, the tread of foot on earth, the earth a further miracle, the firmament no longer there to stunt our view. A miracle of sequence, numbers covering a wall, the sky itself a field of numbers. Numbers is an alphabet, a game of numbers, lightly drawn, lightly peppering the mind, inscribed in dreams, the dream of hunger, leading to a world counted and numbered, engrafted in the flesh. A miracle, the flowers in the garden grow tacky and decline, the path to the miraculous, not what we thought or ever reckoned, but to draw breath day by day, waiting for the breath to be exhausted, the flow of blood to dry, the miracle of death, the greatest miracle. A miracle, to wake up from a dream and count the dream itself a miracle, the flower in the dream as ordinary as the flower awake, and spoken in your voice. The word is such a flower, broken and adrift, the sound reverberating, more a miracle than what the eye sees and the mind knows. A miracle to have been spared this far, the beauty in the little known, the everyday repeated at a finger's touch, to translate what we know to what's barbaric, vast, and wild. The book of witness opens, all the words we have are theirs and lead us, eyeless, whispering, the years themselves a miracle over against a world of pain. Coda for Diane. A miracle, the unseen overtaking us, the larger world in darkness, darker than the mystery of birth. The miracle resides in what we see and touch. So good to be here and to bow to you, my dearest friend in darkness. As the poet said,